I spent 10 years as learning my craft at the Washington Post, one of the most important newspapers in the United States. And I always think of that when I was writing about the 10,000-hour rule. It made such sense to me because I could see it in my own career. When I started as a reporter, I was 22 years old, and I was not a very good writer. I was not a very good researcher. I didn't really know anything at all about what it took to be a journalist. And it took 10 years for me to master all of those skills. And luckily, I was in a place where I was surrounded by people who were very good and who took the time to educate me in what it meant to be a journalist. What's interesting to me about the 10,000-hour rule is everyone would concede. Everyone knows, right, that you can't master something overnight, right? It's not surprising to say that it takes time to be good. What is surprising is this idea of 10 years. I think that very few of us would have said intuitively that the process is that long. But that's it. So that's the kind of, to me, is this really interesting lesson that it's longer than we think. I was reading, I don't know how many of you are tennis fans, I was reading something in the paper about Roger Federer. And Roger Federer, when he was a junior tennis player, had a reputation for being a quitter, a hothead, someone who couldn't put all of his talent together. I mean, you would have looked at him when he was 16 and 17 years old, and you would have said he doesn't have the temperament to be a champion. And now, of course, we can't remember in tennis history someone who seems to have such a perfect character for the game of tennis. And the answer is that developing that mentality of being a great tennis player took a long time. It took longer than you would think. And if you looked at him and tried to make a judgment about him at 16 or 17, you would have missed it because you would have been premature. I mean, there's something powerful lesson in that for the way that we evaluate employees. I think we are too quick to judge people, to judge whether they are working out or whether they're going to be successful. We need to remember that this process of learning is longer than it seems. The short answer is a lot. But they're very, very separate phenomenon. So luck is something that we have very little control over. Being in the right place at the right time is something that is given to us and that we can't control. And I think that's been a huge issue. In my book, I talk about just how many Silicon Valley software and personal computer moguls are born in 1955. Incredible numbers of them are Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Bill Joy, Eric Schmidt at Google. They're all born within 6 months of each other, and that's luck. It means that they were 21 years old in 1976, which is the year the computer revolution is born. And you want to be 21 years old when the revolution starts. You just do, right? You want to be at an age where you can be willing to take a risk on something new. And culture is something, by contrast, that we do have control over. And one of the beautiful things, to stay on the Silicon Valley riff, one of the beautiful things that I think has happened in Silicon Valley and in similar highly creative environments is the way in which, not that they have imposed a culture on those who work there, but rather that they have welcomed people from a wide variety of cultures to come and work together. To walk through, to go and visit any number of companies in Silicon Valley is to be stunned at just how many people from how many different backgrounds and nationalities and cultures are gathered in one place, right? And I think that's important because when I looked at, in my last book, Outliers, I spent a lot of time, as you know, you've read it, a lot of time trying to figure out what are the particular strengths that individual cultures have when it comes to learning or executing and for example, there are profound differences. I have a whole chapter on what it means to fly a plane. And one of the big differences in plane crashes differ widely from culture to culture, because some cultures are really good at a task like flying a plane and some are not. Right? It's a kind of a difficult thing for us to understand sometimes, but it's important to know that cultures have different strengths and weaknesses. And it strikes me that really creative organizations are those that have a way to tap into the strengths of many different cultures. It's why we want to have diverse, highly international organizations, because it gives us access to a variety of different perspectives. And I think that's a hugely valuable tool for companies that want to be creative.